Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. I hope all of you are doing fantastic today. I've got episode 13 of my Make Your Own Card Game Showcase, this time going over the various spirit characters. And starting off, we've got Sentient Icicle, who is a water spirit material character, so 3 different subtypes for him. One of the few who actually has 3 subtypes. Anyway, he's a 3 cost, 2 attack, 3 defense character. He has the ability Magic Morph, which costs 0 power to use, but you have to discard the character from play. And if you do, you get to choose one of your opponent's characters, and that character is unable to attack on its owner's next turn. So if you have a character that you might anticipate having a problem with, he can prevent that character from attacking, so it's pretty nice. Next is Wonder Shield, a 1 cost, 0 attack, 3 defense weapon spirit with the taunt ability, meaning opposing characters may only attack this character. It's a pretty good drop in the early game, which can stave off some of the early game aggression your opponent might have with its 3 defense. And then you got Wonder Sword. This card might seem familiar if you've seen the first episode of this series. It has a very similar stat line and abilities to Delta Warrior Blitz, only this is a weapon spirit instead of being a hero. 1 cost, 2 attack, 0 defense with the critical ability, meaning when this attacks into another character, you just get to destroy it regardless of what defense it has. Pretty nice. Up next is the Energy Might, a 2 cost spirit, 2 attack, 2 defense with the Sting ability. When this character is knocked out, the target opponent discards the top 2 cards of their deck. So if you're playing like a deck that's trying to run your opponent out of cards, this is a pretty good character to have in the early stages of the game. It can really help speed up that process. Up next is one of my favorite cards. This is Destiny, a 7 cost spirit, 7 attack, 7 defense, and her ability is Here is Your Wish. So when you play her, you get to reveal the top 7 cards of your deck, and then you may choose a card with power cost 7 or less from among those and put it into play for free. The other cards will go back into your deck, and it's a pretty fun little gamble card and can help you cheat something else into play. It's pretty nice. Up next is Summoning Portal, which is a 7 cost spirit, 3 attack, 8 defense. Its summon ability simply states that your characters cost 2 less power to put it into play. So if you're playing a lot of characters, this is a welcome character to have, and there's a very specific character that this works pretty well with too, and we'll see that momentarily. Up next is the always misunderstood Spooky Scary Skeleton. 9 cost, 10 attack, 8 defense. Its abilities are the Pact, which costs 2 life to use, and it states that once per turn, you may give one of your characters +1/+1 until the end of the turn. That's not the most impressive of abilities, especially on a 9 cost, but its Black Sacrament ability is even better. For 2 power, you get 2 once per turn, discard a character from your hand. And if you do, this character gets that character's attack stat until the end of the turn. So if you end up discarding something that's bigger cost, which a bigger attack, say Overdrive Man, you can turn this character's attack from 10 attack to 15 for the turn. It's pretty nice. Up next is another powerful card in Cosmic Eye, a 9 cost spirit with 9 attack, 9 defense, and the ability Caster. It states that your normal action cards cost half their listed power to play, rounded up. The ability applies only once if you control more than one character with this ability, but if you're playing a lot of normal action cards, this can help you use a lot more of them in your turn. Though it does take a bit to get this into play. Up next is Possess Blade, a 10 cost, 12 attack, 8 defense spirit weapon. No abilities, but it's a pretty cool card nonetheless. And then you have Endu the World Eater, a 9 cost with question mark attack and 10 defense. Its ability is the Coming Void. On play, this character's base attack becomes X, where X is equal to the number of characters in your discard pile. Then you remove all characters from your discard pile from the game. So if you happen to have a lot of characters in your discard pile when you play this, this could be a pretty big threat for your opponent to deal with. And then we have Sheldagoth the Summoned, arguably the highest costed card in the game with its 12 cost, 13 attack, and 13 defense. But when you have a max of 10 power, how do you put this into play? Well, the answer comes in with its ability. Its ability, the first ability, the Power of Evil, states that for each character in your discard pile, this character costs 1 less power to play. So if you have, say, 6 characters in your discard pile, you can play this for 6 power instead of 12. But there's a bit of a downside with its second ability, Blazing Spirits. So when you play this card, you remove all characters from your discard pile from the game. So if you wanted to play multiples of this, you'd have to get even more characters in your discard pile to reduce the cost of the second one. But there's another way to get this character into play even if you don't have characters in your discard pile to reduce the cost. If you take a look at its flavor text, it says, "This beast is so monstrous it requires a special portal to summon." And if you remember, Summoning Portal has the ability to reduce costs by 2 power. So you could play this for 10 if you have Summoning Portal in play. And it's kind of nice when flavor text hints at some useful gameplay tips as well. Finally, there's the 2 god cards, which are some of the more recent cards they've made. It's Teria, Goddess of Creation, and Kuma, God of Destruction. They both have a similar cost and similar abilities. They both cost 9. They both have a stat line of 10 and 7. Teria having 7 attack, 10 defense, while Kuma has 10 attack and 7 defense. They both have the ward ability, meaning that opponents cannot choose either of these characters except to attack them. And they both have very special aura abilities. I'll go over Teria's first. Her Blessed Aura ability states that whenever an ability would trigger from a character entering play under your control, that ability triggers an additional time. So if you have some good on-play effects, those will get to trigger twice. So you could play Destiny and get 2 triggers off of her ability when you play her, with Teria in play. Although this isn't always the best ability to have with certain characters. For example, Undo here, so it would trigger once and set its attack, but if it triggers the second time with Teria's effect, it would basically give Undo 0 attack, since the second trigger would have 0 characters in play. And then Kuma's second ability is Aura of Despair. If an ability would trigger from a character being knocked out under your control, that ability triggers an additional time, which is kind of useful to have if you have a bunch of characters with abilities that trigger upon them being knocked out. Heck, Energy Might is a pretty good example of this. So if you have Kuma in play and you have Energy Might as well and it gets knocked out, your opponent's discarding 4 cards from the top of their deck, which is pretty nasty. And with that, that concludes this episode. Thank you very much for watching. As always, be sure to leave a like if you enjoyed and comment below what your favorite card among the bunch is. I will see you in whatever video I upload next, and take care.